Hey guys, Seth from Silver Soul Gaming here, back again with another video. This week, I actually wanted to talk about Modern Warfare, a game I haven't really touched on, something I think is going to be big this year and possibly bring back the Call of Duty franchise in a big way and make it, new, bring a good flavour back in people's mouths after the last few games we had have been pretty lackluster. It's a game I do play every year. However, I've been pretty disappointed in the last few years since about Black Ops 3. Ever since Black Ops 3, I have not really enjoyed a game after Black Ops 3. And it was really struggling after Ghosts. Advanced Warfare wasn't a great game. And yeah, we just haven't had really any great games since Ghosts. They've all been pretty okay, but none of them have been able to reach that peak of Modern Warfare 2. However, I do think this new Modern Warfare remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, reimagining, could be a big thing for the Call of Duty franchise. I think it's going to bring back the game series. I think it's going to go for a bit more of a Battlefield kind of storytelling. Not necessarily in the way that it's told, but in the realness and the characters. I haven't seen anything. However, people have been saying that it looks like no Russian, which I'm all for. Personally, I think it's great to go for a more realistic brutality, go full on. But recently, people have actually been saying it's too brutal and that it's been making them not feel great to watch the game. But however, I don't think they should tone down the brutality of the game as the developers were thinking. That news came out recently just after E3 with all the feedback. If they want to, I think they should give players an option. Personally, I think it'd be great to do that rather than, just cut it all out and not release it in the final game, because I get there are people who have some issues like PTSD, stuff like that come into play here. And, I wouldn't imagine they'd be playing these games, but if they are, there's that option, and I think it's also a good option to give people who aren't too comfortable around that stuff. But I think bringing a more realistic and brutal feel to Call of Duty is something that it kind of needs, especially with Battlefield going in that kind of direction, bringing in that realism. Especially with Battlefield 1, it really pushed it hard about each individual, not just on, one side of the wall, but on both sides, and how it affects everyone. And they seem to be doing that again in this Modern Warfare here. As I found out as we know, that we get to play as a terrorist, I'm pretty sure, or at the very least people who are at least affected by the terrorism that is going on, which I think is interesting. I would be very interested to see that. Overall I think Modern Warfare could be a big boost for Call of Duty, and it's definitely going to bring back old characters like Captain Price, as we saw, probably Soap, probably Ghost as well, and obviously bring in some new characters as well. But in the coming time, it doesn't seem like we're going to see a new gameplay news, not for a few more days, couple weeks I think, not till July sometime. I think they said they were going to show off something. I'm really intrigued to actually see gameplay to get a full idea of what is going on in this game, and I think a lot of people are. And personally, it looks like they're going for I think that they're going for a more story-based approach rather than this whole multiplayer focus that happened in Black Ops 4. However, like I was saying that this game could give us a big boost, I think we could potentially see another downgrade next year. Something I've talked about in one of my own videos about yearly releases, but next year they cancelled Sledgehammer's Call of Duty and have straight away gone with Treyarch, and are going to try and get them to release their game next year very early, and that's scary to me. I personally think that's not a good idea. I don't think that's, a smart move to go. I think they should maybe start looking to go away from this yearly release. I don't think it's a good thing for any game, and I don't think games should do yearly releases anymore, especially in this day and age when you've got games where it's clear that you can take your time and you can still have great sales. Like, I have no doubt that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to sell probably better than almost any game and come close to GTA 5 sales possibly. It could be a big game or it is going to be a big game, Cyberpunk. But, you know, Call of Duty, maybe if they weren't to so much focus on yearly releases and maybe, you know, go from creating content for one game for 2 years, 3 years, even if they really wanted to. Because there's no need to rush out the next game after, no doubt that Modern Warfare Remastered is whatever. No doubt that Modern Warfare Remastered is going to be a great game. Oh, there's a little bit of doubt. But there's, you know, pretty good sense that this game's going to be good with all the hype surrounding it. But if they go next year and they decide to change up and go back to Treyarch and go back with a yearly developer swap, it only gives a developer 2 years to make a game, and that's not good. That comes back to, you know, reusing assets, poor storytelling, because you've only got so many months or weeks to write the game. And it also means that we're going to get a cutback on DLC that we've been seeing in the last few years as well, with a lot of the loot boxes or supply drops, whatever you want to call them, having a lot of DLC in them. And because developers are going to have to focus on their next game, we're going to see a lot more, like a lot less in DLC, because as soon as they got a third developer in, we started to see more DLC for every game that came out, because the developers had an extra year to just work on one game. Black Ops 3 was obviously the biggest one that has done that. Didn't do it the best. I think Modern Warfare Remastered did it the greatest. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered did it the greatest. I think it's done great with that. Even though it's a remastered game, I still think they did the DLC great for that game. But yeah, overall, I think the Call of Duty franchise is on an up this year at least. Bit worried for next year. It could look like we could just go back to getting crap games again until Call of Duty eventually dies. Because I don't see this series going anywhere for a long time until they just start getting terrible sales and they sell barely any copies, which will spell, you know, the death of Call of Duty. But I also think, you know, first-person shooters aren't really big anymore. They were a lot bigger back in the mid-2000s, early 2010s. They were a lot bigger, and now that we've got, you know, Battle Royale games that seem to be the biggest trend in video game genres, you know, it seems to be not as popular as it used to be. So I'm interested to see what Modern Warfare could do to the series. If it could boost the FPS franchise to back where it was, possibly. Yeah, and I think that's all I've really got to say about Call of Duty. I just thought I might touch up on the series. I haven't talked about it at all on this channel. It's a very interesting series, near and dear to my heart personally, just because it was one of the first game series that I, you know, started to recognize and play. And Call of Duty 4 was the first game I got on the PS3, so, you know, it's a big deal to me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you go check out our Twitch, our Twitter, go to the website where we post articles all the time. And yeah, just make sure you go onto our Twitch. There's always stuff being streamed there. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, give this video a like, comment what you think about the Call of Duty franchise, where is it going, what's happening. Do you think Modern Warfare is a good move for the series, especially with the brutal and more realistic look it's going for? Yeah, and I'll see you guys next week for another video, possibly on Cyberpunk. We'll see how my planning schedule goes. See you guys then.